Welcome back to NPTEL online certification course on novel drug delivery systems. I am Dr. Satish Devanapelli, Assistant Professor at Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Technology, Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. So, in our novel drug delivery systems, so far we have discussed on the importance of novel drug delivery systems. Then we are discussing on the utilization of novel drug delivery systems and conversion of the conventional dosage forms into the advanced or novel drug delivery systems. So far we have discussed on the nanoparticulate systems, we have discussed on the control release formulations, and also we discussed on the gastroretentive drug delivery system. Then recently we completed on the mucosal and nasopulmonary drug delivery systems. So, in this week we are going to learn on the new topic, that is ocular drug delivery systems. So, here I am going to discuss on the what are the conventional ocular dosage forms, and then we will see the what are the limitations of that such formulations. Then we will see the anatomy of the eye and the drugs used in the treatment of various eye diseases, and then we will see the challenges which come across with the conventional treatment, and we will focus on the general and the manufacturing considerations for the development of the ocular drug delivery, and then we will see very brief on advanced ocular drug delivery systems. In our upcoming classes, we are going to focus on this topic. In previous session, we discussed on the mucosal and the nasopulmonary drug delivery systems. So, we are targeting various locations of the body for the improvement of the therapy. Now, consider the before the mucosal we have discussed on the gastroretentive. Now, it is targeted to the gastrointestinal system, and then later we focused on the mucosal systems, and then one topic we discussed on the nasopulmonary. Now, we are discussing on the dosage forms which are going to target on certain body parts. So, in that the first thing is the eye, that is nothing but ocular dosage forms. These are also known as ophthalmic formulations, pharmaceutical ophthalmic systems. In general also we use various types of the solutions, suspensions, ointments and some other type of the formulations for the treatment of the various types of the eye diseases. So, here what we do with these dosage forms? These are the specialized dosage forms. The word is very important. Specialized dosage forms designed to be instilled on the external surface of the eye. So, here it is considered as a topical formulation, and when you administer inside of the eye or in the intraocular or periocular region, okay, which are called as intraocular or adjacent eye formulations. So, we will administer on the eye, sometime we used in the conjunction with the ophthalmic devices. So, now what is the specialized dosage form that we are going to discuss in our upcoming slides, which are not simple solutions, which are not simple suspensions, and the ointments we use for the topical formulations, right. So, these are specialized dosage forms, they have some criteria. Now, we try to understand the anatomy of the eye, right. So, here you can see the cornea. So, first we will see the segments of the eye. The first part is the anterior segment, right, and another segment is the posterior segment, right. So, here most of the formulation we use on the anterior segment, right. So, based on their physiology, we will deliver the formulation on the different locations. On the cornea, and we will also do the conjunctivitis, we will place the formulation on the conjunctiva, right. So, various locations we can deliver various types of the formulation. Our target is to enter the molecules into the eye, right. So, these barriers will play major role in the absorption and the permeation, right. So, the reaching of the vitreous fluid is one of the major challenge because of the barriers. There are the cases we do the administration to the posterior segment also by giving the injections, and we do implants, and we do other type of surgical methods. With that, we can also target the various locations of the posterior segment, nothing but blood vessels and other thing is retina, right. So, such diseases we need to target on the posterior segment. So, this is the anatomy, and now we will see routes of administration for ocular delivery. Now, here we can see there are the formulation which comes in the topical eye drops. It may be sometimes suspensions, sometimes which comes in the solutions. Here we can also give the various types of the injections, and these injections are very critical. This leads to the blood leakage from the various structures of the eye. So, this is very critical, and we need a practitioner to give the medicines. For example, intravitreal injection we use for the treatment of age related macular degeneration. Such cases we need to give IVT injection to the patients those who have age is more than 60 years. They already very severe in condition. Such cases we need to give the injection to the eye to deliver the various types of the molecules which are called as anti VEGF molecules, anti-vasculoendothelial growth factors. For example, the best molecule name is bevacizumab. So, these people use for the treatment of the AMD. Now, try to understand how critical it is, and there are the limitations with the topical formulations also, right. So, these are the various routes. By the conventional routes we can give the solutions, suspensions, ointments and the creams and the gels and injections also possible. By other routes like oral routes also we can target into the posterior segment. Now, here we will see the limitations of the conventional routes which help in the treatment of the eye diseases. Now, we know very clear because of the barriers which will show the low bioavailability after the treatment. The reasons are because the complicated anatomical structure of the eye, you cannot give maximum dose, we need to give in the very small quantity and that need to be with the specialized treated conditions. And the absorption area is very small. And another point is low transparency of the cornea and the lipophilicity of the corneal epithelium. Metabolism also happens in the intravitreal fluids, that is with the enzymes undergo the degrade the molecules, enzymolysis, bonding of the drug with the proteins contained in the tear fluid and vitreal fluid, and the defense mechanism, and also after administration your formulation will come out from the administrative site because of the tear formation. When you blink it and your tear will pass, that will remove the medicine from the eye. So, flow of the substance through nasolacrimal duct. So, there is again the bypassing of the drug. So, with this at small dose we cannot expect high bioavailability and onset of action, and very critical for the patient also. The patient incompliance is very high. So, these are the drugs we use for the treatment of the eye. Okay. So, the yellow color represents the various diseased conditions. There we use different types of the drugs. For example, for mitotics we use pilocarpine HCl, and then mydriatics we use atropine, cyclopegia we can use atropine, anti-inflammatories we use corticosteroids, various types of infections we use antibiotics, antivirals, antibacterial drugs, and the glaucoma is one of the major problem, that is pilocarpine HCl will help for the treatment of glaucoma, and other some adjunctives like we use 0.9% NaCl saline solution for cleaning of the eyes. Diagnostic drugs will help for the to see the pathophysiology of the eye, sodium fluorescein, and anesthetic also we use for the surgeries. Not only this, we have diabetic retinopathy, that is also one of the major eye disease, dry eye syndrome, then age related macular degeneration. So, there are the various types of the eye diseases are there. So, these molecules need to be delivered to the target site for the effective treatment. Here we will see some of the ideal characteristics of ocular dosage forms. So, your dosage form should have the good corneal penetration. If you are looking for the topical delivery for the ocular, your formulation need to be have good corneal penetration. So, for any novel product, we will see the permeation through the cornea. So, there are the studies we perform like in vitro studies and ex vivo studies, and we do in vivo studies, and then we will do human clinical trials. So, to screen the molecules, to screen the drug formulations, we need to perform the in vitro permeation studies, and after that the best products or best formulation we again pass to the ex vivo studies. So, here we use the animal corneas to see the permeation of drug through the corneal membrane. If it shows good in the permeation, then we will take that formulation and will give the ophthalmic formulations to the animal, either it may be rat, rabbit and the high ordered animals. So, then we will see the permeability or in terms of the drug concentration in the blood. So, once it is went very well, we will take such molecules and we do the clinical trials. If the treatment went very well, then the molecule can be approved for the ocular treatment. So, good corneal penetration, that study need to be performed for all type of dosage form, and then prolonged contact time with the corneal tissue. So, here we need to select such type of the excipients, and we need to maintain the viscosity, so that your dosage form can have longer residence time with the corneal tissues. So, based on that we need to select right material or right formulation strategies to achieve the ideal characteristics of the ocular dosage forms. And here we can use some mucoadhesive polymers also to increase the residence time with the corneal tissues. Simplicity of installation for the patient. For example, so if injections are there or some critical devices are required to deliver the molecule into the eye, so then that will be very critical. So, simplest formulations for the administration are always preferable for the ocular dosage form. So, in this case we need a medical practitioner and the cost of the treatment will increase. And yes, your dosage form should be non-irrigative and comfortable form. That means you need to maintain all the required guidelines provided by the regulatory body. So, we can achieve the desired qualitative, safe and effective product. This is very important. Appropriate rheological properties. Already we have seen in case of nasopulmonary delivery system, the viscosity of your formulation is very important, that will help for the residence, also it will help for the delivery of the molecule to the eye. So, this need to be maintained by adding various types of the ingredients into the formulation. So, the end of the day your formulation need to be safe and qualitative, that quality need to be maintained, and then efficacious. So, then only your product is preferable, then it is called as a ideal characteristics of the ocular dosage form. Now, there are the few requirements to make a ideal ophthalmic formulation. So, there are the general safety considerations I already mentioned in the first slide, which are specialized dosage forms. Why specialized? Because of these are the sterile products. Sterility is nothing but absence of all living microorganism, by using any type of sterilization technique. All ophthalmic products would be terminally sterilized in the final packaging. That means, no viable microorganism. By using any type of sterilization technique, we can make our formulation to be sterile, right. So, either it may be autoclave or by using the gamma radiation or some other techniques. So, with that we can provide a formulation should be sterile. Ocular and toxicity irritation. So, for all novel components, also if the new formulation is there, that need to be tested in the albino rats, that is the ocular toxicity, and we need to check the irritation of the formulations in the albino rabbits. This we will see in our evaluations of the ophthalmic formulation. Preservatives are very important, because preservatives we use in the multi-dose containers, because at different time interval we will open the cap and we will use the medicine and we will close the cap. So, that repeated medicine or multiple doses leads to the contamination. So, that product may lose its efficacy. So, to avoid that we need to provide preservatives, yes, but that are within the limit. This is a very low concentration. So, only ophthalmic have this much very low concentration. So, we need to play within this concentration level. So, preservatives are required for multiple dose container to maintain the sterility, and preservatives not included in the unit dose packaging, because we will use on one time and later we will discard, right. So, there is no use of preservatives. Particulate matter is very important, and that need to be filtered through any type of the filtration mechanism, and that particles need to be maintained as per the monographs. Isotonicity, we have learned that need to be your formulation or any type of dosage form need to be equal to the solute concentration of the your tear fluid, right. So, isotonicity need to be maintained, and pH that need to be 7.4 is preferable, because of the IPH is 7.4. Now, the manufacturing considerations. So, here we need to, during development of the ophthalmic formulation, your area need to be sterilized. That means, it need to be environment need to be controlled, and the particle need not be generated during the process. So, your environment as well as particle need to be controlled by the required mechanisms. So, here we can perform like various sterilization techniques. By using of clean rooms, we can maintain the sterility in the environment, and by providing the various biosafety cabinets, and also we can use laminar air flows, HEPA filters. With that also we can maintain the manufacturing environment clean and sterile, particle free, and that need to be maintained regularly. And equipments, all tanks, valves, pumps and piping must be best available, and yes, which are should be resistant to corrosion, and that need to be select high quality as per the standards and the guidelines, free as possible from the scratches or defects. So, that defects leads to the contamination. If there is a scratch on the surface, the particle will generate, the particle will settle on that scratches, and that leads to the contamination. So, microbes also will settle down, and the particle will settle down on this area, that leads to the contamination, and that further leads to the mislead in the final quality. So, provide adequate means of cleaning and sanitation that need to be performed on regular basis. So, not only this, we can use other type of like equipments which can maintain the sterility within the area. So, these are the few barriers in the ocular roots. Here you can see the corneal barriers, and these are the vitreal barriers, and these are the blood retinal barriers, tear film barriers, and also blood aqueous barriers. So, these are the various barriers in the anterior segments as well as in the posterior segment. So, to overcome these, we need an advanced or novel drug delivery systems. With that only we can improve the therapeutic efficacy of the ocular dosage forms. So, here are the few examples like implants by using novel drug delivery systems, and also with the nanotechnology based approaches. With that we can overcome the all type of conventional limitations, and these novel drug delivery systems will improve the bioavailability, efficacy and the patient compliance, overcoming the eye's natural barriers and optimizing the drug release. And these are the few advanced systems in the ocular drug delivery. By using of microneedles, ultrasound and iontoporosis are being explored as a non-invasive methods. These are the methods we use in the transdermal drug delivery systems. Now people are explored in the treatment of the ocular drug delivery also. So, that will help for the posterior segment. So, these are the pictorial representation. You can see the various types of the formulations that can be administered in and on of the eye by using of the topical formulations, simple solution. There are the in situ gels that can be delivered, nano emulsions and other type of the nanoparticles we can also give into the various injection formats. So, with that we can expect the improved efficacy of the ocular drug delivery systems. So far we have discussed what are the ophthalmic dosage forms. We have seen the what are the routes of delivery system for conventional ocular therapy, and also we have seen the drugs used in the ocular treatments, and also we have seen the what are the limitations of the conventional ocular therapy, and then we have focused on some ideal characteristics for ocular dosage form. Then we have discussed on the general safety consideration and the manufacturing considerations of the ophthalmic formulation, and then we have discussed the advanced drug delivery systems which will help to overcome the all types of the conventional limitations of the ocular therapy. So, with this we will stop today's lecture. In our upcoming classes we are going to discuss on the various dosage forms of the ocular delivery systems, and also we are going to discuss on some of the nanotechnology based drug delivery systems, and then we will see some of the evaluation studies of the ophthalmic formulations. Thank you so much.